Hi, this is a chapter about dialogue from Writing Magic by Gail Carson Levine. This is chapter 11. It's called Talking. Dialogue looks lovely on a page. If there's just narrative, the paragraphs are usually longer than dialogue paragraphs. Most readers, idiots or geniuses, get discouraged when they see only 3 or 4 long paragraphs on a page. We may not be aware of it, but deep down we're thinking, it's going to be hard to get through this. But when we see dialogue, short paragraphs, lots of white space, we think, I can handle that. That looks like fun. On the other hand, you shouldn't have just dialogue in a story. You'd need narrative to move the characters from place to place, to allow time to pass, to let the reader see the action unfold. As you write dialogue, think about the white space on the page, and don't let your characters speak in long paragraphs. If a character has a lot to say, break it up. Let whoever she's talking to chime in with a question, or stop the speech while the other character makes a physical gesture, or interrupt the speech for a minor event, a stiff breeze, a noise on the stairs, the sun breaking through the clouds. It's best naturally if these gestures or events connect with the story. Here's an example of what I mean from Lily's Crossing by Patricia Riley Giff. I have to tell you, Poppy's eyes were open now, blue with paler flecks of gray, his face suddenly serious. The Dillons left for Detroit, she said quickly. Mr. Dillon's gone to be a foreman in a factory in charge of making planes. Top secret, Margaret says. Poppy grinned. It won't be top secret for long, not if Margaret knows about it. Lily swallowed, watching him smile. He reached out, put his hands on the oars. I have to go too. I came tonight to tell you. She didn't look at him. To a factory like the Dillons? When would we leave? She looked out across the water, seeing him shake his head from the corner of her eye. The Army needs engineers, Poppy said. Short bursts of speech seem natural to the reader. In real-life conversations, people sometimes do speak at length and without interruption, but when we're reading, long speeches usually seem awkward and stiff. In the selection that we just read, the author starts a new paragraph whenever the other character speaks or does something. When Lily swallows, she gets her own paragraph. The separate paragraphs make everything crystal clear. Just as long speech paragraphs seem unnatural, so do long speech sentences, and so do long words. Suppose a girl named Abigail is telling her cousin Bryn about a fire that broke out at school. Does this dialogue seem natural to you? My first suspicion of trouble came during language arts when my nose detected a whiff of smoke, Abigail said. That whiff must have frightened you. Did you realize immediately that the cause was a fire? Not immediately. Our classroom is located near the science laboratory, and so initially I thought that the smoke originated there. Since I've had similar experiences, I would have agreed with you. What caused you to revise your opinion? I changed my mind when our principal, Miss Montilio, began to address us over the PA system. I didn't think she'd trouble us simply because of a chemistry experiment. It sounds funny, doesn't it? Maybe a reporter and an arson investigator on TV would sound this way, but not 2 kids. How about this? I smelled smoke in language arts, Abigail said. Not much, just a whiff. That must have been scary. Did you know right away it was a fire? Language arts is next door to the science lab. There are weird smells all the time. Tell me about it. When did you realize what was going on? Well, Mrs. Montilio is our principal. I knew something was wrong when her voice came out of the PA system. She wouldn't do that over a science experiment. See, the second version sounds true to life, doesn't it? More the way people really talk. My computer did an analysis of each version. Here's how they stack up. So, in the second version, the words were shorter, there were fewer of them, the sentences were shorter too, but there were more of them. Okay, writing time. Pick one or more of these and write the dialogue. Kelsey wants to borrow a sweater from her older sister, Nadia. Nadia doesn't want to lend it to her. Ian accuses his friend Richard of not playing fair. They can be playing any kind of game or sport. Richard denies the accusation. Janelle tells a secret to her best friend Shannon. Shannon doesn't believe her. Meredith explains to her teacher, Mr. Ronson, why she didn't turn in a book report. Remember to keep your words and sentences short. Break up the speeches with other person's questions, gestures, or thoughts. Start a new paragraph whenever the next person speaks, does something, or thinks. Have fun. Save what you wrote. I'm going to add to the end here, for folks that were absent the first day we talked about dialogue, the 3 dialogue notes that I'm going to be, as I'm grading your stories, the 3 things I'm going to be looking for to be correct with your dialogue. The first one is, if a character says it, it needs to be in quotation marks. The second one is, all punctuation goes inside quotation marks. So your period, your question mark, your comma, all of that's going to go first and then the question marks after it. And lastly, every time that there's a new speaker, there is a new paragraph, just like Miss Levine told us in our chapter today. At this point, you're into your writing time. Work on whatever you need to. And if you need to rewind this video and pause on top of a slide that is going to be helpful for you to look at while you're writing, go ahead and do that. Thanks for listening.